Greetings, Ben Murray here with another edition of SaaS Metrics School. Welcome. So today, talking FTE reports. Do you have an FTE report? So you should ask your finance department, ask your accountant, ask your HR department. I'm guessing this is a missing report for you. Whenever I take on new fractional SaaS clients, this is one of those foundational reports that we need as part of our monthly close process. And I'd say 95% of the time it's missing, and then we've got to create it. So, first, what is an FTE? Well, that's a full time equivalent. And you'll hear finance, you'll hear FP&A talking about FTEs all the time. So, an FTE is a full time equivalent, and an FTE equals 2,080 hours of work in a year. So this comes into play. It's an integral number with the payroll process, with forecasting, so many things we'll talk about in a second. But FTEs are important because if we have, say, a lot of part time workers who are working a quarter time, half time, or maybe just random hours, those count as a physical head. Say we have five part time heads. But what does that equate to on a full time equivalent basis? And that gives us a better basis for understanding the level of our workforce. So we take those hours that they're working, divide that into the FTE number so we can see how many FTEs we have out of our part time workforce. So, where does this data come from? Typically, this is going to come from your HRIS system or your payroll system and come from those wage summary reports. Now, sometimes I find working with different payroll systems, this is super simple. We pull that wage summary report, the hours paid, dollars paid, and then we can create these FTE reports super simple. Sometimes, though, this is very difficult if you're on legacy HRS systems and the data just comes out in a very poor format or even in a PDF. It's going to be very difficult or impossible to create your FTE numbers from those reports because we need a lot of historical data for this so we can understand historical trends. So, with the HRS data and the headcount data, we also have to look at headcount coding. And again, really important. How is our headcount coded in our HRS system? And when I say headcount coding, this is what departments do they work in development, sales, marketing, G&A, etc. Because that headcount coding then translates into where we post those wages, benefits, taxes on our SaaS P&L. And if we miscode that, we're not going to be able to rely on those financial statements. And also, it's going to flow downstream into our SaaS metrics, and our metrics are going to be wrong. So, as part of that monthly process, I was always looking at our headcount coding because if you have a lot of transition, if you have terminations, new hires, transfers within your company, oftentimes I'm catching a couple that are just coded incorrectly and working with HR, fix those during that monthly process. So, really important to have good headcount coding as part of your FTE process. So, uses of FTE data. One, like I said, documenting historical trends. So, how many employees do we have in what departments? Because then that lays the foundation for revenue per FTE. So, we can understand how much revenue we're generating in total based on the FTEs that we have in the company. And don't include any contractors in there as well. And then variance analysis. As we close out the books, we look at our actual performance versus forecasted and budgeted. And that's really important when doing wage analysis. Did we come in at 105 FTEs versus a budget of 100? And with that 5 FTE variance, I would expect then that we were over on wages for the month. If we weren't, what's going on here? That's a little bit puzzling. So, really important in variance analysis. And then also, FTE data serves as the headcount base for the forecast. So, we're always looking at our current headcount roster. How many employees do we have? How many FTEs? Where are they coded? And then using that data to forecast our financial statements. And then, of course, working with HR, working with our recruiters to understand then what FTEs are we hiring on top of that so we have an accurate financial forecast. So, FTE report, often overlooked, often missing, but there are just so many uses of that. And I don't want you to get caught where you're asked for this, maybe in due diligence, and you then find out in your HRS system, this is very difficult to produce. So, again, should be part of your monthly close process to have that FTE report. So if you enjoy these episodes, I would love a rating. Would really appreciate that. And please spread the word. I love doing these episodes. So please share this podcast with some of your SaaS colleagues. I would really, really appreciate that. So I hope you have a great day. Thanks.